Back everybody. So before I get into this movie review, this video has something new towards the end of this video. This is something that I've been thinking about doing for the last few days, and today will be the first day and the first movie review where I've decided to do this. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to wait for you guys to watch the end of the video. Like I said, it's just a new feature which I will be doing in every single movie review if possible. I thought it was a great little idea, but please let me know what you think. Put it in the comments down below as normal. If so, if it goes off well, I will continue to do it. And to be fair, I will probably continue to do it anyway, because I generally like doing research on movies. And there's a little hint about what this new little feature is. So, Midnight Run movie review was released on July 20th, 1988. It was directed by Martin Brest. I believe it was written by George Gallo. I hope I said that right, but that is not the most complicated name I've got to say in this movie review. It was made on a budget of $35 million US and made $81.6 million US in the box office. The cast in this movie is quite impressive. Main lead character in this movie is Robert De Niro. We also got Charles Grodin, hope that's how I say his name, John Ashton, and Yaphet Kotto. All I know him as is the villain from Live and Let Die. But I'm hoping that's how you say his name. So in this movie, we follow a mafia accountant in the form of Jonathan Mardukas, or the Duke, played by Charles Grodin, who is on the run, and Jack Walsh, played by Robert De Niro, is a bounty hunter that wants to get to him to claim his hefty fee. But he is not the only person after Jonathan or the Duke in this movie. There are mob bosses, there are FBI, there's all sorts of different things going on in this movie. Generally, what are my first thoughts of this movie? Knowing I've just finished watching this movie, yeah, it's pretty damn entertaining. And it also reminds me of how good movies from the 1980s are. The original is, I wouldn't say it's necessarily original content as such. I think this is probably being done before, but it's the style, it's the feel of movies from the 80s. And this movie is a classic example of that. It's got an adventure feel to this. In certain respects, it's got that kind of crime feel or mafia kind of feel to this. And I know that Robert De Niro took on this role because it's on a lighter tone of, is it The Untouchables that he did previous? I think it was. I'm not 100% sure on that. I can't remember if that was what I was reading. Either way, you know, it does carry and have comedic moments in this movie, which are pretty much on point, to be fair. They just work well with the context of the story, which is what they're trying to portray. I wouldn't say that this is made necessarily for kids. It's not like a kid's adventure, to be fair. It's an adventure movie. It's got an adult tone to this, I have to admit, but it does follow kind of... And if you can hear those cows in the background, I do apologise. There is somebody making a noise and they've kicked off. So I do apologise, but they are making one hell of a racket at this moment. But like I said, it's got that adventure feel to this. Like I said, comedic moments are in this. Actually pretty damn good. I was laughing at certain points on this movie. Performances in this movie, I generally really do enjoy as well. Robert De Niro's character in here, okay, it may not be his best performance in movies ever, but it's still an entertaining watch. It's exactly the same with Charles Grodin's character, and it took me ages to figure out who this person was and where I've seen him before, and it took me to go actually look at the movies he's been in, and I twigged. I was like, oh my god, I know who you are. But he was, you know, he's one of these faces you just go, I know you've been in something else really, really popular, and now I had to go and look for it. But again, he was actually really, really good in this. I'd actually almost to say he hasn't got a huge amount of dialogue in this movie. He plays this very kind of, how do I put his character in this? He's very observant in this. He knows, he can read people very, very quickly. And I generally like this, and he read Robert De Niro's character in this very, very quickly, and then set himself on a path to try and help Robert De Niro's character. I'm not going to give too much away about the storyline in this, just in case you haven't seen it, It's not a hugely complicated storyline. They set this out pretty earlier on in the movie, which I've got no problem with, because then it's just about 2 hours of an adventure, them traveling across America. This is essentially what this movie is, and just trying to escape or trying to avoid other people catching the Duke in this movie. And you do get this. You get a little bit of lies, deceit, betrayal in this, screwing people over, and well, I generally loved every single one of those elements. You got the FBI element in here, who are chasing the Duke, as well as the mafia bosses that are in this. You've also got another bounty hunter in here, and to be fair, he does carry quite a fair bit of the comedic element in this movie. Him and Robert De Niro together, they have this bit of a ongoing conflict or kind of rivalry with each other, which actually plays off, and it makes it a very entertaining watch. The chemistry between even Charles Grodin and Robert De Niro in this is absolutely fantastic. Like I said, it's not a hard storyline to follow. It's just about the adventure, about the twist. Twists, no, I wouldn't say twists or turns, like the lies, deceit, the kind of backstabbing and kind of twists in this movie. It's pretty much what this movie is about. It's not hugely action-packed, I have to be honest, but it didn't bother me either. I just sat down, watched this morning, and by the end of this movie, I was extremely entertained, and I do highly recommend this movie. There is something about movies that are made in the 1980s, just make them for a very entertaining watch. It might be because I was born in the 80s, it might be because I was brought up with movies from the 80s and early 90s, but there is something very different about movie making in the 80s compared to movies now. Now, I know that the scale of movies these days are heavily reliant on most movies these days are heavily reliant on CGI, but there are a handful of movies that come out these days, which remind me of movies that have been made in the 80s. And this one, I just generally got a lot of love for this, and I've only seen this once, and that was today. And I really, really enjoyed it. It was just a fantastic watch, and I highly recommend this movie. I wouldn't say there was anything out of place as such. I expect if I watched this again and went to pick holes in this movie, I could pick holes in this movie. But I generally don't want to pick holes in this movie because it's generally a very, very entertaining watch. So, if I was to rate this out of 10, I would give this a 10 out of 10. I found it very, very enjoyable. I was not bored. There are slower moments in this movie, but I was never bored in this movie. Even in the slower moments, you get a bit of character development to the two main characters in here. You get backstories. You get the reason why Robert or Jack Walsh is a bounty hunter. You get to see what Charles Grodin did in here for the greater good. He's not technically a bad guy here. And I generally like this in between, like the moments where there wasn't a huge amount going on, they filled it with character development and to gather that emotional attachment to the characters, and it works really, really well. And you do. By the end of this movie, I was like going, yeah, that's a real good really, really good movie, and I really enjoyed the characters, and you get the backstory to them. Just makes it even better watch for me. So I do highly recommend this, and I do, like I said, give this 10 out of 10. It's as simple as that. So on that note, please tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below as normal. I hope you all have a great rest of the day, whatever you're doing. Please stay tuned just a second for the new featured bit of these movie reviews. Please take care and goodbye. So, bonus fact number 1 to do with the Midnight Run movie. Paramount Pictures actually dropped this movie when Charles Grodin was actually cast. Paramount Pictures actually wanted Robin Williams to actually play this role, which is actually kind of surprising because now I think about it, I really don't think that Robin Williams would have been hugely suited for this role now knowing that I watched this movie. I have to be honest with you, I think Charles Grodin's character and performance in this was the perfect balance in here, and I think Robin Williams being cast for that role, I think it would have been overdone and it would have taken too much of a comedic element, if that makes sense. This is just my personal opinion, but it's just interesting fact that I basically read. Interesting fact, movie fact number 2. the habit of checking the watch, or De Niro checking the watch, was basically De Niro's idea. It was like a nervous twitch that character had. Bonus fact number 3. I'm new at this, so I do apologise. Grodin still has scars from the handcuffs that he wore in the movie. It's an interesting fact to me. I actually kind of like that. Number 4. The F word was used more than 119 times in this movie. And finally, fact number 5. To do with the Midnight Run, De Niro actually spent time with bounty hunters to actually prepare for his role. And there was more facts, but I just chose 5, and this is the new feature that I'm going to use in my future videos, because I generally like doing research on the movies, different movies, and different facts and different ways that the certain movies are basically made. So, on that note, hope you all have a great rest of the day. Whatever you're doing, please take care, and goodbye.